Welcome to Booked, the bookstore education podcast brought to you by the American Booksellers Association. In this episode, we'll be listening to Children's Bookselling 101, a seminar that was presented at Children's Institute 2026 in Schaumburg, Illinois.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Do I have to lean down? I'm trying to figure this out.
Do we need to be moms?
Okay. Can you hear me with ease? Okay, good. Good morning. How are you? Welcome to Children's Institute and Children's Bookselling 101. If you are not here for Children's Bookselling 101, please just stay. It's going to be great. And we're all going to be friends by the end of this. So, without further ado, let's go. First and foremost, we have to do the business part of things. I should read this like a robot, but I'm not going to. Booksellers are encouraged to share ideas and support during the conference. The Sherman Antitrust Act prohibits them from discussing price or pricing policies, boycotts, dividing up the market. If you need more information on this, you can always go to ABA's full antitrust guidelines on BookWeb. A few things to get us started today. There is a QR code on the screen that has all the slides and handouts if you would like to keep them and treasure them. There is also a survey to fill out at the end of this, which I'm going to remind you of many times because surveys are what help us get better at this and understand exactly what you guys are looking for. So there will be an electronic one. I believe it's in the app, and then there's also a paper one at the back of the room. Both recordings of this will both be on BookWeb and BookED. So when and if you ask questions, we're going to make sure you're talking nice and loud into a microphone so that the recording will not be silent for a part of it. If you haven't already, please silence your cell phones. And again, questions, you'll talk into the mic. And we're going to have lots of times for questions at the end of this. In fact, we all agree that questions are the most valuable part about this session. So we want to make sure you guys get your questions in. Here's a quick overview of the agenda. We're going to talk about industry stuff. We're going to talk about getting to know your stock, hand selling, and getting to know your customers, and last but not least, connecting with schools. By the end of this session, you are going to understand the key differences between publishers and wholesalers, where you should be doing your ordering, for what purposes. You are going to get up to speed on inventory and hand selling confidently. Even if you haven't read the book, you can sell it. It's going to be great. We're going to be able to use practical tools and resources to stay informed about things, and we are going to be more confident and best friends. Hello, my name is Sunny Bowles. I'm from Decatur in a store called Little Shop of Stories. We have been open for 21 years. I've been with them for about 16. So I've got a few years under my belt.
Hi, I'm Emma Kovetsky. I'm from BBGB Tales for Kids in Richmond, Virginia, and we will be celebrating 16 years in November this year.
I'm Christina from Bookstore Magic in Brooklyn, New York. We've been open since 2017, and I just rounded out 5 years there.
Hi, I'm Jamie Thomas. I'm from Women and Children First in Chicago proper. I'm the director of operations there. I've been there for 12 years. And we are celebrating 48 years this year. And I don't know if the bookstore tour is this afternoon or if it's already started, but maybe some of you can go see the store while you're here.
I just want to get an idea of who's in the room. Raise your hand if it's your first Children's Institute. Almost perfect. Raise your hand if you're brand new to bookselling, like less than a year. Okay. 2 years in. 3. Okay, great. That just kind of gives us an idea of who is here. So again, we're gonna present some things, and then hopefully this will just spark really good questions from you guys. Industry stuff that no one explains. Jamie, do you want to take it away?
So we're going to sort of go over these bullet points a little bit with you all. And like Sunny said, we're planning on having a lot of time for Q&A later. But one of the questions that comes up a lot is, where should I order from? Should I order from a publisher or a wholesaler, and the difference between those? So a wholesaler is going to be like your Ingram. I think that might be the main one at this point. Used to be Baker and Taylor, but they don't really exist anymore. But the benefits of ordering from Ingram is that they are fast. Depending on where you are in the country, they can come in the next day. And it's, a quick way to get it. You can reserve stock. You can get it very quickly. But then with publishers, a good way of doing it that way is you get a higher discount. You can get specials. You have slightly slower shipping times. But again, sometimes if you are depending on where you are in the country, it can be almost as fast as a wholesaler. So in general, we do recommend trying to order from the publisher directly as often as you possibly can. Anybody have something to add to that?
Also, Bookazine is the other wholesaler we use.
Yeah, Bookazine is a good one. Do you want to speak to their pros and cons? I have some cons, but
I don't really see any pros and cons between the two of them, honestly.
Okay, yeah.
Bookazine comes slightly faster for us.
For you, yeah. It really is just a matter of finding what is geographically what works best for you. I know that because of the warehouses throughout the country, it really depends on where they're coming from. So that it could be, it also depends on the minimums for different places in terms of, like, Ingram has, I think it's 20 units. And Bookazine's might be a little bit different. So, yeah. I think I'm also talking about sales reps. So sales reps, what do they do? You can either have an in-person sales rep or a phone sales rep, or sometimes you don't see them at all, but they can be very, very helpful. They are people that work directly with the publisher to go through the massive, massive catalogs of Frontlist and like the new books that are coming out, and they will do what they call a markup to go through the catalogs of 1,000 titles for a PRH catalog and tell you the ones that they really think your store specifically needs to look into buying, and that can be invaluable to just like dig down deep into the so you're not looking at 1,000 titles, you're looking really at like maybe 200. Why are they important? They really advocate for your store. I know for my store as well, since we are a political bookstore and we're a feminist bookstore, there are certain things that we just won't carry. So it's been really helpful for us to have really good relationships with our sales reps. They know we're not going to take this kind of book. We're not interested in this kind of book. So sometimes if I accidentally put a book on an order, they'll say, you don't want that book. So that's a really important relationship to have. And yeah.
I was going to add about reps. It's like they are your partner. And so you don't always remember the specials. You don't always remember these things. And it's their job to remember them. And they are excellent at it. And so they will always be advocating for you, like you said. And then when you're in trouble, like, oh my gosh, we need 17 more copies tomorrow and I messed up, and you call your sales rep, and they can't always fix it, but a lot of times they will try hard for you because you have a good relationship with them and they want you to be successful too. And that's different than just calling customer service because they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
I also get a lot of like personalized emails from my reps that give me promo codes, upcoming releases to check out, things like that, which can go a long way with ordering.
Yeah. The last thing I would say is we have like a summer reading program, and it's with the neighborhoods, and it's a lot of kids that don't normally come into the store. It's just really fun to have these kids that don't normally come into the store, and we don't know until they come what's going to be the big get for that summer. So it's really fun when all of a sudden I'm like, I'm assuming this year it's going to be books about soccer. But I can email my sales, but I can email my sales reps and be like, can you put together an Edelweiss catalog of your best books about, Messi, and just like give me an Edelweiss catalog so I can put together a really quick order. And that's really invaluable because I don't have time to go through all of their backlist.
And last, we have ordering and merchandising.
That is not me.
It was just to finish out that category, understanding the why of buying decisions.
Oh, yeah, that is me. But you go.
It's okay. Sometimes you'll open up a box and you'll see that someone has ordered 15 copies of some brand new frontlist title, and this isn't a good indicator that your buyer is really excited about it, or there was some sort of special on it that you got a deeper discount. And so just sort of looking at what your buyer is doing and leaning into it and maybe making a great display out of it and putting it somewhere prominent, because if they're confident and they bought 15 titles, we want to sell them all. And then perhaps doing a display all around it. If it's something like soccer, then you would pull in other soccer titles, or if it's going to be a popular one, other titles that are like it are also going to be popular as well.
I do all the merchandising for my store, and we kind of have a unique setup where we, like, for example, Dogman. If you like Dogman, kind of look over here. And
never heard of it.
God, a world with no Dogman. If you look over here, it'll be something that person would like as well. And I really enjoy that setup because it gives a child kind of an opportunity and autonomy to look at something that they really love, and then maybe, take a look over on the shelf and find a new title. We also like to disperse our graphic novels all throughout the shelves, and we don't typically have a graphic novel section, which can be different store to store. But I like that as well because I feel like it moves the narrative away from graphic novels having to be this sort of, I've heard parents call it like the dessert book, and moves it towards being just a book that kids are picking up and reading as well.
Okay, moving on to our next category, which is getting to know your stock, which is the whole game. Because if you can't sell your books, then your customers are sad and they don't learn new things. So this is going to be Christina.
Yeah. So, it would be impossible to read every book in your bookstore, although it would be nice to know what's going on in some of them, certainly. There are ways that you can acquire that knowledge without reading the books yourself, though. One of my booksellers, for example, started like an inter-staff book club where they're all reading kids' backlist titles every month, and they get together and talk about them over pizza that the store provides. And it's been a great way for them to all talk to each other about what they're finding on our shelves. Honestly, sometimes they found books that they were like, I don't like this one, and I don't know if we should continue hand selling it. And I think those are also valuable conversations to be had about shaping your stock. But I think as a buyer, it's really helpful for me to have that collective knowledge of all of the staff, like reading and talking about the books so that we can know what it is that we're carrying. Also on that note, staff story time, I think, is that in reference to me reading books to people forcefully?
You could read to your staff. Sure. I've done it before. I'm not going to lie. But I think it probably means your staff doing story time in the store.
I wasn't sure because of the stock.
Maybe.
I do read picture books to my booksellers all the time. Like if I'm going through the catalog and I see something that I'm excited about, I'm like, guys, you got to see this one. And then they're forced into a story time in that moment. But I see that turn into sales on the floor. Like my excitement that I'm sharing with them in that moment, I will catch them on the floor doing the same thing with a customer. And it's really, good to keep that going.
Because the truth is we all love story time, no matter how old we are.
Yeah, if I could add, I think we often, for new booksellers, we will just tell them, if you have a little bit of downtime, just go read the books that are on display, the picture books that are on display. Like, why not? They're picture books. But also, that is a picture of one of my booksellers, their daughter's recommendation. So having, really just taking the time to go look at the staff shelf talkers from your coworkers, getting a feel for what is on, like, other people have read. Encourage your staff to write shelf talkers for anything they've read. Even if they didn't love it, at least you know that there's a book that somebody has read. And then for middle grade, I tend to read the first and last chapter of a lot of books.
What?
Yeah. A lot of books. First and last chapter. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
We also do at our store, we'll give out galleys to some of our middle grade readers who get really excited about upcoming stuff and are big readers in our store. And they love that, like, to have this unreleased copy that they can review for us. And then getting a shelf talker from them once it comes out, or hearing that, you know what, it wasn't very good, so don't carry it.
I'm going to reiterate again, shelf talkers sell books. Shelf talkers sell books. Doesn't matter what the book is, you're just bringing attention to the book. I tell my staff this probably weekly. We are, on our staff, we have everyone do 2 shelf talkers at a minimum a week. Sometimes it's like pulling teeth, sometimes it's not. But it is incredible. Just putting that little piece of paper on the shelf just draws the eye, and someone's like, oh, this looks interesting. Tell me more. So do it. Keeping up with new releases. How do we do this, Christina?
Yeah. For me as a buyer, the way that I'm keeping up with new releases is often through the catalogs and the markups that my rep is giving me. That is something that happens so far in advance of when the books come out that it is also important to utilize your other resources. Honestly, I follow a lot of other bookstores just because I love looking at their new release posts and seeing who's carrying what. I know that a lot of the review journals are a great source. Those are also something that are generally being written a few months in advance of the release of a book. But authors that you like, everybody is generally posting about what is happening that week. And it's just a good way to know, for me especially, if I missed something, like, wait a second, do we have that on display? Like, that is helpful to just lean on the greater book community.
I agree. I love seeing what other stores are talking about and what they're excited about. Yes. So yeah, it's an ongoing thing because, like she said, you learn about them so long before they come out, and you have to refamiliarize yourself sometimes with a book. We have on here Common Sense Media. That's a good place to go. I don't always agree with them wholeheartedly on their philosophy of life. However, if you are worried about content of a book, they often have a real cut and dry, like, this has language, this has inappropriate material in it. So if you have a customer who has a question about something, it's a really fast way to check if you haven't read it or someone on your staff has not read it, to know if there is kissing or bad language or violence, all the good stuff.
You just called violence good stuff.
In books, sometimes it can be, not in life. And again, we have communicate with your buyer up here, which your buyer should be passionate about the things they're bringing in. And so talking to them about why they chose something could be helpful, or it can spark for them to remember why they like something that they ordered so long ago. This is talking about physically engaging with books in the store.
Yeah, I mean, reading the picture books, like we were saying, is just one of the best ways that you can see what's actually happening on your sales floor. I think also spending time in the section is really helpful for knowing, because you will get people asking for specific things, and you will, in that moment, live find out what you have and don't have in that category of book. And I think those interactions are really helpful for informing your greater hand selling knowledge. It helps you see what is moving on the floor physically and also what there is a demand for that you might not have on display. And what else do you have on the slide? Well, displays. Yeah. I feel like that's your bread and butter.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, kind of everything we've been saying so far. I don't really have anything to add at this point.
Yeah, I encourage my staff every shift when they come in to take a loop of the store, and even though they were there last night at close, and just see what looks different, if a display has changed since their last shift, if something is sold, there's a big hole that they need to fill in. It's just a really good way, a good reminder at the beginning of your shift to just walk around and see what looks different. If it looks different from like what a staff put something new up and worked really hard on it, then they need to connect with that staff member. Or if a child has piled all of the Magic Treehouse books in the corner off the shelf, then we also need to know that, which should have been caught at close, but sometimes it isn't, so it's just nice to see. And you'll see like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that book sold. I'm so happy that it sold. Like, let's reorder.
Yeah. And also keeping an eye on if you guys have an area where you keep your like new releases. That's somewhere we encourage our staff to go just check. We have like a shelf in the back for our small store, and keeping an eye on what's coming out. And then again, things that are going really quickly. If you notice like, oh, we had 6 of these yesterday, and then by the end of the weekend, we have 1 of them. One right now, Cows Are Pink. It's this board book. I think I order 10 of it a week. It's very cute. Keeping an eye on those ones that are moving really quick.
Okay, our next is hand selling and customer conversations. And I think this is super important because this is what makes indies the best, and that we know our customers and we have real conversations with them.
So we have a little flow chart here, but I would say the very first thing, if you are doing hand selling, is you need to be in the section. Do not try to do hand selling from your counter. Do not try to do hand selling, honestly, over the phone. I cannot hand sell over the phone. So we have a little flow chart of the most effective questions that you can ask, and you'll see that some of these are actually the opposite of what you might think. So you want to ask them, what have you read and liked recently? And so you get an idea of what they have liked, but it's also really important to find out what they don't like, and why they didn't like that. But then you might also have a kid that is like, I don't like reading. And so you find out what they like outside of reading. And you just want to be in the section so that you can be, while you're engaging with that kid, you're also engaging, or that grandparent or that parent, you are looking at your stock and you are trying to figure out what you have that could fit for this specific person, because you're working with a person and not with an idea of a person.
And I'm going to add to this slide too. Sometimes as children's booksellers in particular, we're sort of caught between the kid and the grown-up that they're with. And so we work very hard to speak to both. And sometimes you have to use completely different language and send completely different messages. Sometimes you're trying to pull the adult a little bit down to where the kid wants to be. And sometimes you're trying to push the kid a little bit. So just sort of having your antenna up in those situations, knowing it could be tense with, sometimes parents are like, you will read Moby Dick. And the kid's like, no, I want Dog Man. And so that's a real thing, right? And I had a woman come in once and she told me, my son is on a 32-year-old reading level. She was serious. And I was like, goodness me, I don't know if I am. So it's very intense sometimes. Sometimes it's silly, but just sort of like being able to navigate that relationship and find something that's going to work for both people.
Yeah, I think that you have to really figure out who you're selling to. Sometimes that kid has no interest in being there, and you do have to really talk to the parent. But you want to keep an eye to the fact that you are still, the customer is still the child. The end customer is still the child. So I think that's really important. And then the other thing that I say, whether it's a kid or an adult, wherever in my store, put that book in their hands. That book, multiple books need to be in their hands. Give them more options than they could possibly need. And then say, here are many choices for you to look at. And then you go sit down over here. I'm going to go away And then if none of these work for you, then we can talk about why they didn't work for you, and we can go from there. I think we talked a little bit about this, and maybe Emma could talk a little bit about the favorite series, because you were talking about the engaging with how you work with the Dogman. You might like this.
Definitely,
yeah.
So definitely, depending on how you can set up your store, having that immediate sort of area to reference to is very helpful. But we also have, especially with our reluctant readers, kind of a list in our heads a lot of the time. Or maybe tags for some of your earlier, newer booksellers if they need a reference to go to. I know it can be frustrating, but like, hey, you're going to the back, so check on the computer real quick. A tag that we have that is, we do actually have a reluctant reader one right now. Or if you like da-da-da, you might like this. Those things can kind of help get an idea of where to go from there. But definitely having the setup in our store has been so helpful. The amount of readers that I've had who really like historical fiction maybe, but they've read this one, so let me look over here and give them that suggestion. I've enjoyed it.
I would also add to that, sometimes you do get someone who comes to you and they're like, I would like zombie fiction, but also romance, but also Hunger Games dystopian. What do you got? And that's not my thing. And I know that it's going to be my bookseller Matilda's thing, so I'll pull her in. And not always. Sometimes you have to like strap on your boots and go find something. But then if I do pass, what? Yes. But if I do pass a customer off to someone else and it's not really super busy in the store, I'll walk with them and I will try to remember all the suggestions. So the next time that happens, I'll have more books in my arsenal.
We are a really small store, so we're lucky to be able to do this, but sometimes I'll even like walk to the back stock room with the child and be like, here is our section. Like, we have all of these. Like, let's start pulling out some things if what's on the floor is not working. And they get so excited about that. Like, it's so fun to be able to go to the back of the store. So.
And there's a thing up here about graphic novels. We all know they're great and wonderful and often are a gateway to many other kinds of stories for kids. And I feel sometimes as a bookseller, it's my job to educate parents on it, but that's a whole panel. Yeah. Okay. Building confidence on the floor.
Yeah. I have one of our co-owners in the store. She often says that like she had to train herself to just go in there and it's like, they're not going to hurt you. So I think that's like building confidence is something you just do. So the people that come into your store, they want to buy a book. They are here because they want to build the love of reading for either themselves or for the children in their lives. So going and talking to somebody and seeing how you can help them is like the most gratifying thing in the world. But yeah, like I said before, just putting the books physically in their hands, and like Emma and Sunny said just now, if you can't help someone, and sometimes I'm just like, yeah, my coworker Shuli is totally the person that you need to be talking to. But making sure that Shuli feels confident in helping that person and that they don't feel like I am just passing it off to her. But also when that does happen, I'm going to shadow, not in a creepy way, but again, I'm going to ask afterwards. I'm be like, what ended up being the right book, so that I know for the next time, because the next time she might not be there. And like we have here, it's totally fine if they don't like your first recommendation. I think it's okay. I kind of like it when somebody's like, nah, that's not for me. That gives me a lot of information, actually, and I can just completely pivot. It sucks when I don't have another recommendation right at hand, or if we're sold out of that book, but at least I know what I could be doing better at.
I would say also with the reluctant readers, it almost builds trust with them when it's like, tell me all the things you didn't like. And they get to just like vent about how much they hated a book. And they're like, oh, you're receiving this information happily. Like, maybe you are my people, even though you're making me read a book right now.
Yeah. One other thing I think we've probably all experienced is like someone comes in and they ask for something. You're like, I know the perfect book. Come with me. and you go and it's not on the shelf and it destroys you and your soul. But I'm here to tell you there's more books they're going to like. And it's very frustrating because you know they would like that one. But having the confidence and like a presence about yourself to go on and be like, this is the one I was looking for, even though it's not the one you were looking for. And it's just part of that confidence and that relationship with that person. All right. Anything else? We're all good? Mm-hmm. Okay. Connecting with schools. As children's bookstores / booksellers, schools can be a great place to find new customers and also like reach out to the community. So Emma's going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So love working with schools. Obviously, teachers and librarians, homeschoolers, educators all over. Great resource as customers, but also a great group to champion. For one, we offer a 15% discount to all educators in our store. You can advertise this in lots of different ways, put it on your front counter, post it up in your store, but also kind of piggybacking off of hand selling. Often I'm like conversing with people on the floor, customers, and that's how I find out that they're educators. It's a great way to get people back in, but also, again, just like champion your educators out there and give them a discount. We also do an educator night once a year. We do it in the fall, and it's a great way to bring educators together so they can network and meet each other, take a load off, have some fun. But also we start to discuss sort of upcoming books that we're really excited about, and we go all the way from picture books up to YA, and invite young like kindergarten through high school educators as well. To attend. We do a small fee, usually that is the price of a book that we're promoting, and try to bring that author in actually. And we've been successful in this for a few years now. It's a really fun event. And it's a great way to get new customers, old customers, and again, just get excited about educators.
I also feel with the educator discount I was going to throw in, when you're doing that and someone's like, oh, I'm an educator, it's a great conversation starter. Oh, tell me more. What, how old, where, what is the school? Oh, and then if you know someone at that school or you work with that school, oh, we work with Tammy at that when we brought you Dogman or whatever it is. And it helps to like your relationship with that person. But also if you don't know the school, then you're like taking notes of like, oh, this teacher comes to our store. Maybe we should be doing more with that school.
Oh, yeah. And you can also do fundraising opportunities, possibly like, hey, during this week, we're going to be supporting this local school. Everybody who shops, we're going to give whatever % back of sales and proceeds to the school. We do a lot of giveaway opportunities. So if somebody comes to us, a local school or organization, and is like, oh, we're doing a raffle night, could you donate some books? It's a great way to get your name out there. We'll donate usually like $100 worth of books in a bag that's kind of catered to whatever that event is or the age group, and then like a $10 gift card to our store. So whoever wins that is going to be coming back to your shop, hopefully. And just a great way to get more customers in.
Okay, the next big part of schools is author visits.
So much fun. I'm the shop manager at my store, and I'm very lucky to have a partner who's our events and social media manager. So it's not my whole wheelhouse, but I work very closely with her, and it's a huge part of our business. Lots of different ways to do author visits. Angie is doing seasonal event grids on Edelweiss. That's one way to sort of start. So again, working with your reps and submitting for authors that are presented to you. Again, I don't do the event grid, so I don't know all of the details.
Speak a little bit
Thank
about
you.
this.
Okay, perfect.
So the event grids are essentially a catalog that tells you which authors each season are touring and where. So it'll have information that's like what city they're from, what cities they are planning to probably visit, and what parameters they're looking to meet for those events that they're hosting. I will say sometimes the publishers are asking for things that are not realistic. Mm-hmm. I think it's worth it to submit a request regardless and just be honest about the capacity of your store. I think a lot of stores see those numbers and think we can't do that, so I'm not going to fill this out. And then I find some of my friends that work in publishing are like, we only got one store that submitted a grid for this and we don't know where to send the author. So it's always worth asking. In terms of how to organize authors and schools, I'm obviously in a city where I'm lucky to have a lot of authors coming through, as well as like a huge community of different pretty well-funded schools. But I learned some things from famous Kathy at Blue Willow about how she organizes her school visits, and I've adopted some of her practices. Essentially, she makes like a seasonal catalog of sorts of her own, where if publishers come to her and are like, these are authors that we want to send to your city, she'll organize those into a document that she sends out to her school contacts, and they can indicate yes or no whether they're interested in having that author visit their school. And then she kind of goes through the sheet and assigns authors to different schools depending on the interest, which I think is a great way of keeping that information all streamlined, because I know I'm getting requests from publishers that are like, can this person come to your store? And schools that are saying, I need an author. And it's just like, how do you do that matchmaking other than having sort of everyone shopping a catalog? I start with having the publishers fill out a spreadsheet for me, which includes information like what are the AV requirements? What is the actual book buy that you're looking for? And things like that. So that way I can see on both sides who's looking for what and make that process a lot cleaner.
We also have an educator-specific mailing list. So anytime that we have certain authors coming in, Angie will pop those into our educator mailing list and it'll go out to them. And then we have people reach out kind of requesting to have those authors in that way as well.
Which all of that is also a great marketing tool. I mean, because you're sending out to schools, look, these are all the authors that are coming to our town. Your school could host them, and maybe they won't get them the first time, and maybe they don't have the right date or capacity for their venue, but it's showing the schools, like, these are the kinds of people that are coming through. This is the kind of store that we are. Don't you want to be on our team?
Another thing we offer is just book selling partnerships. So we'll even have educators who will come to us and say, like, I got this author and this author is coming to my school. So we didn't do any of that. Will you sell the books for us? And that's almost an even easier thing, because you just set up, I mean, for us, we set up an online page to our website, send them the link, give a deadline for how long families can order, and then deliver the books. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. We do that as well. I was going to say, when you do that, I don't know how you all do that, but you can create, if you have Indie Commerce, you can create a page and it's like author visit this school. And then the parent can just say, this is my child's classroom or teacher, and so that you can attach it that way. I would also add, though, depending on where you are, I don't know if you have these parameters, but in Chicago, you have to be an approved vendor. So really think about, like, which I highly recommend, because if you are one of a dozen school or stores in your area and you're the only one that's an approved vendor for your school board, that's a lot of money. So it takes a lot of work, at least with Chicago. It takes a lot of work to be approved every year, but we get a lot of money from the Chicago Public School Board that we wouldn't get otherwise.
Yeah, I would say that is kind of the cheat code for just having a constant flow of book orders, which I don't think we are discussing on this panel.
It's coming up.
It is. Okay. I'll hold off.
What is not on this slide that is also part of schools is book fairs. My store has a giant book fair program. And again, that could be an entire panel to itself. But they are great. But you have to have the staff to make them happen. But you can do in-store book fairs. If you don't have the capacity to do book fairs out of school, where you bring, you know, like you were saying before, like tonight we're going to raise funds for Tally Street or whatever the school is. But once you have these relationships with schools and these author visits and they're starting to trust you and know you, then you can start being like, we could do a book fair for you. And we could choose the books that you want to see at your book fair. You don't have to get what you might get from somewhere else. Like, I can make it your summer reading list, or I can make it your Georgia Book Awards, or whatever the equivalent is for your area. And that becomes really, really enticing to them, and they're willing to take the chance and work with you on it. Speak of the devil, bulk orders.
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of bulk orders in the store, and I think that's a large part of the income of the store. I mean, as much as it's good to have foot traffic, one person buying one book is never going to be the same as someone buying 50 copies of something, especially when you're selling the 50 copies via an email and the publisher is shipping them directly to the customer. It's a lot less work for you as a bookseller. The way that we have started to acquire a lot of our B2Bs is honestly just the publishers knowing that we have the capacity and like trusting that we will handle everything on our side like in a clean way that they can send people to us, which is really helpful. That can look like a random company that is having an event for their staff and they want a bunch of some like business book. It can look like a school that found their own author that they need to get books for. It can be just like a book club in the community that wants to buy 25 copies of something. And those are all things you can also offer people better discounts than you can in the store because the publisher gives you a better discount for meeting those minimums.
Yeah. Our store, I've been with the store for 12 years, and I would say about 10 years ago, we had a mom from one of the Friends of groups, so like a parent organization. She just walked in one day and was like, what would I do to place an order for a bunch of books? And I was like, well, I do all the reorders, so I guess me. And so I started doing that. And then over time, that relationship built to more bulk orders, and we ended up having to hire someone whose entire job is that. So it can start with that little tiny germ of something. And now this person brings in hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And that is her entire job, is that she's on maternity leave right now. So I'm also doing that job. but bulk orders are invaluable to your business. But it can start as small as somebody just walking in and being like, I would like to do this thing, and you learn how to do it and how to build it out.
Yeah, definitely. We have Virginia Commonwealth University near us in Richmond, and we even work with some of those university professors to get classroom sets into their schools, into local schools in general, classroom sets always as well. But even just other local organizations, we have a group that every summer buys, I think now we're doing every quarter, 300 copies of a different book that they do for a donation for new families. So it's like board books and baby books that they buy 300 copies of. And they've been coming to us for the last few years. And that's been a great little chunk of income and just a great way to work with the community as well.
We also do bulk orders, and we were lucky enough to partner with MailChimp into it. And they would always buy 500 copies of one book. Mm-hmm. And it was great. And we loved it. And then they were like, we want to do more. And so these relationships can grow. And so now we do a corporate book fair for them where the company buys 2 books for every employee that wants to come. So it grew into this from bulk orders to more things with these, especially these big corporate entities that have the money to spend.
But again, I just want to reiterate, it does not have to start at that level. But it definitely. Totally, you don't have to feel daunted by doing a little bit can build up so much. So I know a lot of you are newer, and I just wanted to say that it really has become such a big part of our business. And I think that could be something that you could be really excited about, potential.
And this isn't about schools necessarily, but I think it's related to bulk orders, is pre-order campaigns. You might want to be on a giant pre-order campaign for a giant author, and that'd be great. But you can also find local people that in your community that have books coming out and say, hey, we'd love to be your bookstore, and we'd love for you to do a pre-order campaign. And we may not even know this person very well. We've reached out to strangers before, and it's been great because then the local community that loves them learns you, and they start to associate you with them. And so, yeah, for your pre-order campaign, you may pre-order 6 books, and that's 6 more books than you would have had before. Or you could work your way up and be doing 1,000 book pre-order campaigns.
Other ways to connect, parent customers, great way to connect with schools. I think Sunny, you actually touched on this earlier of like, no, you're fine. Of, like, oh, my kid goes to this school and and maybe they're on the PTA, that's another person that I do a lot of, another group I do a lot of ordering with is the local PTA groups, at schools. So great resource, work with the parents and, learn from them what schools their kids are going to, and ways to connect with your local schools. We also do a lot of like social media posts specifically to teachers. So, are you an educator? Like, here's our educator event coming up, or a specific giveaway for them. I do a targeted educator shopping hour that we offer. It's totally free, but accept the expectation that they're going to be buying, classroom sets through me or refilling their classroom libraries through us or whatever. And it's a really fun way to get an educator in the door and then get a big order out, honestly. And they just come in and I'm prepared. I pull things based on whatever grade level they're teaching, interests that they have, upcoming titles. I'll show them. I show them the whole back, just give them a whole tour of the store and give them access to everything. So that's been a great resource for us to get, big classroom sets out.
Okay, guys, here we are with our key takeaways. Be confident in your ability. Books and people want to buy books. This is what Jamie said. They're coming to you because they are your people. I remind myself all the time that I'm the luckiest person in the world and my job is to sell children's books. When I get stressed out or when I think, oh my gosh, these 7 copies that were supposed to be here yesterday, the world is ending. I just remember that we're sending stories home with families and it's not that serious and we'll be okay. And embrace the fun. People don't get to play at work and we do. And what we do is very serious, but it can also be very, very fun and rewarding. Now is the time we've come to. Oh, I was supposed to mention something earlier that I didn't mention. I would. Anyway.
Wait for the mic.
Prior and way back in our presentation, we were talking about sales reps and being your best friends. Oh, whoops. So sales reps, they are your best friends. We've had a couple of conversations with sales reps and especially with people placing orders that have new relationships with them. And when sales reps are often out of town all the time because they're coming to see you or they're learning their new lists. So occasionally they're not available. And it's important to stay on top of the responses that you get from placing orders and making sure that if your sales rep is away, that you go ahead and follow up with customer service, whoever needs to place your order. Just because your sales rep is away from their desk doesn't mean that they can make miracles happen when they get back. Yes. The microphone is coming because we are all going to talk into a microphone.
Hi. Hello, my name is Sean Gaetano. I'm the children's and young adult editor at Shelf Awareness. As you are starting your bookstore or working to expand your bookstore, a good thing that I like to suggest is Shelf Awareness creates the newsletter for you. So if you were to reach out to Shelf Awareness, I can give you my card after this, and you want to create a newsletter for your store, we create the newsletter that you can send out. It's free of charge. We also have a kids pre-order newsletter, and that includes the upcoming titles that we think are really exciting. And it has helped a lot of indie bookstores get some of that pre-order stuff that hasn't really gotten to them, has gone to like the bigger bookstores before. So we don't have a table here this time, but if you'd like, come on up to me, Shelf Awareness, we're happy to help you out.
My name's Kate. I own Monsters Books. We're in Overland Park, Kansas. We have lucked into some bulk orders over the past couple of years. And so we've started reaching out to like school contacts that we have to do bulk orders with them, like back to school bulk orders and stuff like that. But are there things that you have done to proactively get into businesses or schools that you find helpful?
I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's fine. Take your time.
I will say definitely that the educator night that we do. If you have any capacity to like have one evening where you bring in a bunch, like our store can comfortably fit like 60 people. So we'll bring in 60 educators at the beginning of the school year. Because after that first contact, like we're continuing to keep up with them throughout the school year. And then even at the end of the year, I'll often reach out to them and go, do you have more in your budget? Like, what do you have left over before the school year ends? And remind them, hey, come spend it with us. Come get ready for next year or fill some holes from your current library.
Oh, microphone. Sorry.
What all do you do at your educator night? Do you like tell them about books and like what's the rundown of what that looks like? So we start by we break it up into parts. So my events and social media manager, Angie, she gets like the first 15 to 20 minutes to sort of talk about, hey, this is what we offer. This is our author visit educator relationship program that we have. Here's my email. I'm going to be sending you guys out tons of information after this. We start there. Then me and the store owner do book talks for about 15 to 20 minutes. And we talk about all these upcoming things that are coming out that we're excited about. And then we're lucky to have these great relationships with our reps and authors. And we bring in an author who talks about a book that has either just released or is coming out, typically a middle grade author. And that book is then given to the educators that came, and that's the small price. It's usually like a $20 ticket, right? But we provide, upcoming galleys. We do a giveaway at the end. We do a bunch of like swag and stuff that they can bring back. And it all goes over the course of an hour to hour and a half, maybe book signing at the end with the author. And a lot of exchanging of information, like get on our mailing list, let me get your email. And then a lot of feedback afterwards. We send out a big feedback email of like, tell me what are you missing? What do you need more of? How can we be a resource? And it's been so successful and so much fun and has gotten us in the doors of so many schools over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Who do you target at a school? Do you target the librarian? Do you target... Because sometimes it's just getting that one person. Yeah. So a school has, 40 teachers or whatever. Who do you target?
We typically start with the librarians, I'd say, because they seem to know all the teachers. But I mean, they're all such a good resource, but I'd say the librarians are really our closest.
Yeah, we definitely start with librarians, but sometimes it's just like that really fun, excited teacher who is going to have the wherewithal to wear down the principal or wherever the block is. There's sometimes reading specialists or PTAs, like you said. It's never the same person at every school. And so it's just sort of like keep trying until you get there. I also wanted to add for Educator Night, if you don't have an author close by or if you don't have that resource, we've done speed dating. We've just gotten our staff to sit at different tables, and it's just fun. Like, we do it here, and it's super fun, and it's very fun for them to think that they're speed dating with.
We've also had that really excited librarian or teacher come up and talk because we have some in our community that like they would love to get up in front and talk for 30 minutes to these other educators. So even outsourcing in that way, too.
I just checked. We have I couldn't remember. I would love to know what the Wi-Fi is in this place because my phone. Okay. But yeah, we have a tab on our website that has a whole thing for school partnerships. And it has an FAQ. It has all kinds of stuff. We also did a thing for a while that we've sort of phased out, but there was a whole CPS educator gift card where people could donate, like just customers could donate to a CPS general gift card that then people could nominate a teacher. And that sort of gave people, the teachers and all of CPS knew that we were interested in partnering with them. And so if somebody was nominated to be the teacher, they would then get a gift card from that was funded by our customers to buy classroom sets and things like that. But that got the word into people's minds that we were interested in working with them.
I think also taking a step back to the larger, like how to find businesses that will do this. And I think this is kind of my thesis about everything all the time, is just like, it's about the relationships that you build, and you need to make yourself known in your community. Like the ways that I find that some of these orders come to be is like, maybe I'm in a local bakery that is going to be like, they have a flyer in their window, they're doing this event, and this person who wrote a cookbook is coming. And I might ask the person in the shop, like, oh, do you have a bookseller for this? Like, how are you acquiring your books? I think it's okay to just ask people questions. Let them know that you work at this local bookshop, which is always like an exciting connection for them to realize exists. And they will be like, we were just going to get the books on Amazon or whatever, but you can offer to make them some sort of better deal. You can send a bookseller that can sell books on site at their event. And like, these are ways that just like, as you go about your day and your life and you're in places and you see things happening related to books, ask people about it. Like when they know they can come to you, or even if that's not a need that they have, they're still going to know that you are a person that they can ask questions when they need someone that can provide books for whatever reason. And that, like you were saying, like it starts small. You just start with that one relationship. Their friend that owns another business says, oh, I went to this bookstore and they took care of me. And that all builds from there.
Hi. One more follow-up to the educator night and the school discussion. And then I have another question. My question is, I'm very new to bookselling. I'm an owner of a small children's bookstore, very small. So there's a whole lot that I don't know about all of this. One, do librarians at schools not have, these relationships with the publishers and the buyers where do they usually get books from?
I used to work in a library before the bookstore, and we bought all of our books through Baker and Taylor, which is not currently in existence, but is essentially just like a place that they can shop for books. But they are not generally speaking to the reps or anyone. As a library buyer, I was completely in the dark, honestly, about what it was that I was looking for. I'm just looking at a list of books. So the bookseller connection is really helpful because we have access to more resources than the average librarian does in that area.
So the next question I have is, again, being a very new bookstore owner, I do the buying, I do everything. It's just me.
Yay.
And I come from an education background, so I know kids, I know early education, I know reading, and that's my passion. The book selling part is new to me, but my store is established. And so far, I've just been ordering from Ingram and from Fair. And so getting a sales rep, like buying from the publishers, that's all brand new. I don't know anything about that. So all of these amazing opportunities you're talking about expanding within the community and these bulk orders and these catalogs and all this stuff, I don't know anything about it. Where would be a great place to start learning about how to get a sales rep, how to get into these doors of having the resources to offer the librarians and offer the schools and offer the people in my communities this knowledge that I hopefully can gain and share with them, but I still don't know it.
Well, luckily you're here.
Thank you.
And a lot of those
Sorry, that's a loaded question.
No, a lot of those sales reps are here. I think the ABA can help you as well to get in touch with the sales reps themselves so that you can be established to have an account with the publishers, and then they will assign you a rep. So you have to first get an account with the different publishers, and then they will work with you to get a rep assigned to you. Yeah, but I think the fact, on your badge, you have a rep picks table, and you're going to meet some sales reps today, or tomorrow, I think. But still, it's this is a good first step.
And it can be daunting to get your account set up. I'm not going to lie. It can be a lot of hoops, but it's so worth it. And the margins in book selling, everyone in this room knows, are terrible. And so every tiny percentage helps, and it's dramatic even though it's only 5 or 4% difference with the publisher, sometimes more, it goes a long way.
Hi. The ABA is a good place to start. I've recently been through it in the last year. I have a question about book fairs. So is anybody doing book bucks or some kind of preload for the students so that they're not carrying cash or paying with a check or whatever that is? And then the second part to my question, while I have your attention, is anybody doing school subscription boxes? I've had some feedback from my media specialists that their budget, they have a budget right at the beginning of the year, but then for new releases, they don't have any budget left by the end of their school year. So they're really looking for some kind of subscription box. So wondering if anybody does that.
I can start with the book fair piece. I am dying for someone to come out with an ND e-wallet. We don't have one. We use Square for all of our transactions at book fairs. We tried their gift cards. It was a nightmare. I don't recommend it. Or if you've had great success, please come find me and tell me everything. It's just every kid, you have to be able to track it better than Square can. I have some schools that are really excited about it, and they have the right organized person who takes money from parents. And honestly, that's been the best solution, because then we're not involved with it. And if there's leftover money and all the things. But yeah, I'm sorry to say that we don't have an e-wallet option. But if someone knows of something, please share.
We've worked with the school, and this could just be for this, it is a private school, but they have student accounts, and we have been able to build a student account, and we essentially then just send that all to the school, and then the school pays one big chunk to us, which the parents pay the school. So that has cut out some stuff, but again, that's probably very particular to that school. Otherwise, yeah, we do also Square and cash.
We don't do book fairs in schools, just CPS is weird. But I would say for the subscription boxes, we haven't done that for the school specifically, but we have done subscription boxes through the store, through our indie commerce. And I would think that that would be something you could set up kind of in the same way, where you would just take it as a initial buy, and then it would just be a matter of having someone organized enough to then plan out the boxes, or this was not necessarily boxes, but the subscription going forward. And I'm happy to talk about the nitty gritty of subscription boxes after.
We also don't do book fairs.
My name is Elizabeth. I'm also at Monsteras in Kansas City, and I had a question about children's programming. I'm curious if any of your stores do anything outside of, we have a great summer reading program and story hours we're doing, but I'm wondering if there's anything else you're doing to engage middle reader age. We tried to do a middle grade book club. It didn't really go anywhere, and I'm wondering if any of your stores do any other programming specifically for kids.
We have local schools who do field trips to our school or to our store. And again, that's a relationship that you have with the local schools, but they'll come in. We have a kindergarten class that they do a mock bookstore as like a project of theirs. And so they come to our store and I give them a rundown of like how the shop works, like what books you want, how you pick books, creating a logo for your store, stuff like that. So if you're able to work with any local organizations, summer camps, there's a summer camp that does, like, does your kid ever say there's nothing to do around here? Like, let's show them what's going on in our town. And there's a teacher that brings them to our store. And again, we just kind of show them the ins and outs of the bookstore. And then they do have some funds that they're able to purchase a book. And, you know, we do like really cheap paperback, like readers basically, or nonfiction things. So doesn't have to be too big of a purchase for depending on what the funds are for that organization. But yeah, doing classroom like field trips, essentially, that's been a really fun opportunity for us.
We don't do a whole lot of children's programming just because we are, I mean, it's women and children first, but we are an adult and children's bookstore, very feminist, political. But we do have some middle grade like events periodically, but it's mostly hyper local folks. We've done like Celia Perez, who's a local librarian. We did Leah Johnson, those kinds of things. We do have a middle grade graphic novel book club, but I think that's going to be phasing out because they have sort of aged out and they're like a very core group that are aging out. But kind of like Emma said, we do have a couple of schools that come once a year, and what they do is they shop. We keep like one sale going, and then we suspend the sale at the end, and then the school pays us back. So I don't know, it's like $300 or something like that, but we don't do a whole ton of children's programming, but we're not a children's focused bookstore.
We also have one upcoming event that I'm really excited about for middle grade readers. It's our Babysitters Club sleepover. And I'm so excited. We're very lucky to have, she actually just left, but she's coming back for this one event, Josie, our bookseller, who's just that like most excited, like loves hanging out with the kids, like such a great bookseller. I love her so much. And she came up with this. So for the summer edition of the Babysitters Club, she's hosting an after hours. It's like an hour and a half for middle grade readers who have signed up for it. We have like 16 kids who have signed up, which is huge for us right now. And they get to come make friendship bracelets. We're going to have like music videos playing. There's going to be pizza and snacks, some games. And then the ticket essentially was $30, which comes with a copy of the book and then a $10 gift card to our store. And then we have a minimal, like whatever rounds up to 30 is like our supplies fee, which goes towards like the food and the activities and stuff. We've also done for younger ones a stuffy sleepover, which again was
so fun,
so much fun. And it was me again in after hours. But what they did was we had a Bluey story time at our store. And the kids came for that towards the last hour that we were open, dropped off their stuffy, and then me and my two coworkers recorded like us behind the scenes, like going to the local toy store with the stuffies and like in the back raiding our fridge with the stuffies and like did a whole little reel. Took about like an hour and then posted it throughout the night. And then in the morning, woke up the stuffies and posted that. And so the kids got to watch from home. And yeah, again, like super fun, engaging, just so silly and a lot of fun.
I mean, I want to start by saying we all struggle with that age group. So it does not matter if you are a famous bookstore in Brooklyn, you are still having this problem, and middle grade readers are not coming to events. We do a number of author visits, which I know is a privilege that is not something available to all stores. But those events are honestly less popular than ones where I am planning like craft and activity stations that are related to the theme of the book, which is a huge mess and a lot. Like it's a big lift logistically, but I see numbers 4 times as many kids are coming to that as would come to an event that is just an author talking about their book.
Yeah, I was going to say I know getting authors can be tricky. And so just leaning into the fun part of our job and like what's going on right now, the World Cup. We had kids come in one afternoon before the USA game to get their faces painted and to make signs. Is this related to books? maybe you can buy a soccer book. But just going with what's going on around the holidays, we do a ton of holiday stuff, whether it's come make crafts or hot chocolate and whatever it's going to be. And yeah, just leaning in. You don't have to have a lot of money and you don't have to have a big famous person coming. We also do a writing workshop, and that middle grade group has really, it's taken off. It took some time. And we have a great employee who's doing it, and they made their own zine, and it's adorable. And again, you don't have to make a zine. You can just like make your own comics, whatever you want to do. But it's been really popular for us. So we also did a K-pop Demon Hunter sing-along. It was so fun. We did a Hamilton sing-along way back when. So just sort of capitalizing on things that are going on culturally and how you can relate that to getting people in the front door.
We're also in a very walkable neighborhood, and we're on a very big corner of that neighborhood. So we have a lot of bake sales outside of our store. We'll let Girl Scouts do it, but we also have people that have done bake sales for like Palestine, or they've done bake sales for Chicago Abortion Fund. These are kids that want to do this. And we let them use like our tables or and like they're so grateful that we let them use our supplies that they buy things, which is not our, like, that's not the reason we're letting them sell Girl Scout cookies, but it really makes them feel part of our community. Like we're in community with these people.
I would say that also, yeah, in regards to, it doesn't have to be about the book. I think some of the best events are just ones that get people in your store, that are making people feel like that's a place they want to spend time. I think that is the most important part. But I also think in terms of spending money on supplies and not necessarily seeing that come back to you, I think a good place to look for inspiration for these things is different libraries and librarian groups. They are creating immense programming for kids on the most minimal budget, and they don't have access to authors, and they are really pulling it off. And I have taken a lot of ideas from the time that I spent in the library and that community that I knew, and they work just as well in the bookstore.
We've also held, and again, it's like dependent on your space and resources, but we've opened up our space for birthdays. And even in the sense of, and we don't really like to do, it's not really where we're trying to move towards, but we've had certain situations and certain customers who, like, we've seen these kids grow up there that we make it work, but we had this one opportunity where it was a middle grade reader. I've seen him since he was 6 and he's 12 now. And he loves our bookstore so much. And all he wanted was to have like a book themed birthday. And his parents set up this like scavenger hunt through Richmond, and we were one of the stops. So again, very unique situation. But like, I feel like Christina pointed to this earlier of just like the conversing and that community piece. Like that all came to be. He didn't come to us. Like we were just talking in the shop, and he talked about how much Gray loved the bookstore. And we like together kind of were like, why don't you just stop in on this Tuesday, bring this group of 10 kids, and they all happened to they actually bought a book, and maybe that's not going to happen. But again, like some of them is their first time into the store, and now hopefully they're going to go home and say, oh my God, I went to this really cool store, BBGB, let's go back, so fun ideas.
One last thing, publishers and reps can also help. There's the Where's Waldo campaign that Candlewick does, which is so fun if you're not doing it, and it gets you involved with other people in your town. But even if you don't want to do something that large, you can do it within the store. You can always do a golden ticket. There's a golden ticket somewhere in the store. Little things, or like a scavenger hunt within your store, find a book with a red cover, all that stuff, and you win something. Art contests, like design a bookmark. There's just a lot of ways, and I think Christina's right. But like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like, go lean on librarians, lean on teachers, lean on the internet, your social media connections. Oh, that's great. I mean, I think it's a compliment when I see I call another store. I'm like, this is awesome. We're going to do it. And they get excited too. And if anyone would call me and ask for help, I'd be like, yes, do it. You should try it. So you don't have to reinvent something.
My name is Leah. I'm from, we're
opening soon in October. So we're pretty new to bookselling. I was a librarian in the past, so I do have that background. But my question is kind of like piggybacking off of this woman back here who was asking about book fairs and don't like those people have these resources and things to order from. But my big question, I guess, is like, how do you like compete, I guess, like with like the Scholastic book fairs? Because like I know for sure that like our schools do Scholastic book fairs, and I know the teachers like will send out emails because I have young kids, so I get the emails about like ordering classroom books from Scholastic, from the like newsletters that they send, and like directly from them. So like, how do you break into that sort of thing without like stepping on toes? Or like, I mean, I know like we all work together, so it's kind of like a weird question to ask, but if they're already established doing this thing, how do we get into it as well, I guess?
You might not. I mean, my son's school,
you might.
Yeah. I mean, you might not. You might not. You might. There might be folks that are able to, but I'm just saying, like, you might not be able to at various schools. Depends on where you are, and you just find the thing that is you're in. Because like my son's school, he's going into 8th grade. He's been there since kindergarten, and we never gotten in. And I'm like, I work at this bookstore, but we certainly do other orders with them, and we do author visits with them. So it's like Scholastic is their own, and also the Scholastic Book Fair is a different arm than Scholastic Publishing. Yeah.
So I am uniquely qualified to answer this question because my first job out of college was at Scholastic, making book club flyers, and then I ran the book fair program at Little Shop of Stories for 10 years. So Scholastic taught me everything I know. I'm grateful to them. They're awesome. They provide a service that is very different than ours. The first thing I would recommend doing is attending a Scholastic book fair if you can find out when and where it's going to be. And the minute you walk in the door, you will know exactly how you're going to present your book fair to this school. Scholastic does a service. It reaches people that we can't reach. It provides very inexpensive books, which is important in many, many, many districts. But what you can provide is head over heels above what they can provide. Yes, the cost will be more, and sometimes you have to work with education foundations or other resources to get some more money in for kids who can't afford. But the minute you talk to someone who knows about books, you tell them there will not be a single necklace at your book fair, and they will all like sigh this heavy sigh of relief. And like I went in with my kid just had a Scholastic book fair, and I went and I was like, you can pick out one thing that you want and I won't judge it. Then you must buy a nonfiction book that we can read together. And none of the nonfiction books, every single nonfiction book had a toy on it, and they were all gender is a thing. It's not a thing. Anyway, they were all very boy coded. Like it was just a very interesting experience for me. And so you just sit down with these people and say, what do you want to see at your book fair? What are you studying this semester? Are you doing an Eric Carle unit? Because we could just do an Eric Carle book fair for you. You want to avoid getting them to make the list for you, but it's you can give them what they want. So you start with a small school that maybe has more resources, like a Montessori school. Like you can offer all things that fit their curriculum, whereas Scholastic cannot. They don't have that flexibility. They can't meet schools where they are. Scholastics sometimes say they're going to provide Spanish titles. There are 6, and you can provide many more than that. And so just showing your strengths and what you have, which is your connection and your knowledge of these books. And people know that, and they'll see that. And just asking them to trust you. It's a big leap.
We used to do like 5 or 6 book fairs a season, and we've dropped that down to 2 because it was just so much for over 15 years that my boss was doing them. It's a lot of work, but the 2 that we do, we love them so much, and we want to continue as long as we can. And one way that we like make it very personalized, we know after doing it for so many years, we do know the school very well, and we know the students and what they're interested in. But we hold a meeting with the two main librarians at the one school right before and do book talks with them, and also talk to them about sort of like what are the kids reading? Hey, last book fair, we sold a lot of this one. Are they still interested in this? Do you think they will want book 2? No, actually, they completely stopped reading that series. They're not interested in it. Okay, cool. So we're not going to bring a lot of that. Maybe we won't bring it at all. And again, like Sunny was saying, that something that you can do that Scholastic can't, like that super personalized experience, if you have the chance to meet with maybe the librarians or educators, or just get to know that school in any way to like make it super catered to them, it makes such a difference.
I would say also, on the note of it being a lot of work, just a broader thought that you don't have to feel like you have to do everything. I mean, we talked about the bulk buys and the book fairs and the events, and you're going to find what works for you and your community. Like, I don't think that any single store attending this conference is doing all of the things, or at least if they are, they might not be doing them to the best that they could be. And I think like over time, you're going to find what you might become the store that does book fairs better than anybody else. But don't feel like you need to do all of the things at once. It'll come to you.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying when I was like, you might not. I mean, like, kind of like what Sunny was saying. My son has a couple of football posters from the Scholastic Fair from when he was like in 3rd grade. That's the only thing he's ever bought at the Scholastic Book Fair, because I can get him better books. I'm sorry. And when I did that, one of the other moms was like, I'm sure you support the school in other ways. And I was like, so yeah, but that's just my other little thing. But yeah, I agree with what Christina said. Like, you don't have to do everything, and book fairs are great if you can get an in, but it is a lot of work, and you might find that it's not the top thing that you want to focus on.
And sometimes the universe brings you a staff member who is really good at helping kids learn how to write, and they do this awesome writing workshop, and it takes off, and you never know where that's going to go. Like in my bookstore, I came along and I had Scholastic experience, and I was really into getting into the schools. And so I don't necessarily think that Little Shop would have pursued it in a way if I hadn't been excited about it. So again, leading into your resources that you have, like what is your staff really into, and what will make them happy, and they'll work harder on these projects and these relationships if it fits their wheelhouse.
Hi, my name's Kelly. I own Fairy Tales Bookstore in Nashville. I just wanted to ask, you said the book that you're ordering by the tens is Cowser Pink? Cowser Pink, yeah. How do you spell that?
Cows are pink.
Cows are pink. Okay, I heard Cowser Pink like it was German.
I did too. I did too at first, so then I was like, I think that's...
I also just wanted to thank y'all for everything you said about middle grade book clubs, because our middle grade book club has been DOA for the last 2 months. And so I just texted my bookseller and I was like, we're not alone. Yeah. So that was really lovely. I am planning to ask this question in every session. My kids at my store are super into illustrated novels. So Wimpy Kid, Dork Diaries, Middle School and Other Disasters. So I was just wondering, do you guys have any favorites in that category? Because I've found that those are a really good bridge for the parents who are like, we're not doing graphic novels, which like they can do whatever. But, a good bridge for the parents where you're like, there's more text on this page, but there's also enough fun. And, a lot of times it has the dyslexic friendly fonts and stuff like that, which is great. So that was kind of my question.
I have one I'm looking up right now that I couldn't just forget.
Macbee, Spy Kid.
Are we okay with Mac Barnett? Have we forgotten that?
Okay, maybe I shouldn't have said that. We're not going to talk about that right now. I'd love to talk to you about it in the hallway. Also, No Sam, Drew Daywalt.
Yes. Oliver's Great Big Universe is a really good one. And Oliver's Great Big Universe. And I met the author a couple years ago at Winter, and he's an astrophysicist, and he writes from the perspective, like brings physics, which I know nothing about, into the realm of like a middle school boy. And it's hilarious. And it's really, really well done. It's a good one. Oliver's Great Big Universe. And it's a series. There's an author here who does, what is that one?
Last Kids on Earth is another good one.
My son, I think the series is over, but the 13th story Treehouse and 26th story, I think that series concluded, but it is great. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that Andy Griffiths, not Griffith. But yeah, that author is great.
I'm scanning the bookshelf in my store right now. Trying.
Oh, thank you. Hello. Diana Garibay, owner of Cardinal Books in Coppell, Texas. Bilingual bookstore. I'm in the process of designing the brick and mortar. It's a small town. It has a lot of potential in schools, great ISD, and also bilingual. My question for you is the following. If you have the power to design your perfect, or what will be your must to have in a kid's nook or in a kid's section, please bring me your advice now that I am designing the place. Thank you. And thank you for all these inputs, because I already fill out 4 pages of good information.
Yeah. I want to ask a clarifying question. Do you mean your must-have fixtures, books?
Yes, in terms of the layout of the kids section, because I have visited a lot of bookstores and I have seen everything. Some of them are great inspiration, like Fable in Waco. But some others, I go there and I see all that much books in the front. Of course, kids want to handle the books, but I mean, it's not a library, right? So how do you handle that? How do you switch the books or put the books up? But you want them to take a look too. Just advices. Thank you.
I would say good display. We have a display shelf that's like circular, so that you're able to, especially for the picture books, you want the picture books to be able to be faced out as much as possible. And then in terms of for the space itself, I would say some kind of soft seating. Soft seating is really important, but no rug. Like, we had a rug and it got gross.
So gross.
Yeah.
I would say, face out space is definitely the number one thing you're going to want. We opened a second location while I was working at the bookstore, and we kind of had the chance to, as a team, give input on what we wanted to see in the section. And it's been interesting to see the sales differences in that I can attribute just to the space that we've designed, but also things that we already regret doing in that space. Face out's number one. As soon as you take a book off of the face out and shelve it, the sales die immediately. The other thing that I think we did well at this store is modular shelving. So our tables and our board book shelf are all on wheels that are easy enough for even one person to move. And that's how you can create enough space to have these events, with also having not dead space during the week when there's not an event happening.
Yeah, all of our events, adult and kids, are in our kids section. So everything in our kids section, except for the things that are against the wall, are on wheels. So
ours are not, and it's a big problem. I would also add to that spinner racks, like Elephant Piggy spinner rack is invaluable because they don't take up a lot of space, but it provides a lot of face outs and can lead to some fun times for littles. But again, also you were talking about how do you prevent kids from being kids, and the answer is you don't. And you have to sort of know what kind of shoppers they are, but also train your staff to not be shy of just being like, running feet are not allowed in this bookstore, or walking feet, or, oh, can I help you with that book? Where's your mommy? Just training your staff to not be shy about not necessarily reprimanding the kids, but just drawing the parents' attention back to them. we often say, they come behind the counter, we're like, oh, are you showing up for work? Do you know your alphabet? And the parents are like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But just drawing attention back.
I would say also on that note, it influences my buying decisions. If I see a book that has a lot of little paper bits that I know are going to get immediately destroyed, I'm probably not going to carry it. It's not going to be worth it.
And also if they are weirdly shaped. Like if I can't put this on the shelf, I can't carry it. I even if I love how it looks, it's going to have to be really special for me to buy it.
Hi, my name is Ashley, and I'm partnering with Leah on our bookstore that's opening in Iowa in hopefully October. We are a general interest, but we plan on having a very hearty children's book section with story times and things like that. In our town, there's no other bookstore. We're a town of about 26,000 people, and there's also nowhere to get a nice gift for people, like specialty gifts. So we're planning on carrying a decent amount of sidelines. But my question is specifically like for merchandising the children's area and carrying non-book items that maybe like correlate with the books. Do you find a lot of success in sales with those items, like plushies or whatever it may be?
Yes.
Okay. So really kind of like put them where you can fit them.
Yeah. I mean, we have honestly like IKEA's right here. We have some of those like little IKEA shelf things that are on wheels. The little three, it doesn't matter. But we just have some stuff that have IKEA that we put out of print t-shirts. We put some of the Merrymakers stuffies in it. We get a lot of puzzles. We get just like a lot of things that we put throughout the section. And we don't really have a gift area. They just get stuck where we can find a place.
Yeah.
I was going to say that for drawing interest, like how you're setting up your store, drawing interest to certain sections with the younger ones, like Grumpy Monkey. Like, I mean, most kids do see the Grumpy Monkey book and they get excited from my experience, but like that plushie right there, and they'll go to grab the plushie and it's like, no, here, not the plushie, but here's the book.
Yeah.
Let's look at the book instead. Definitely just draw them in.
I mean, I encourage sidelines simply because the margins on sidelines we can control. And it's really nice to have a few items that you can make more money on. And also, I can't believe that we sell the amount of plush we sell. Like, I cannot believe it. It is like, when it comes in, I'm like, do we have a place to put this? And it's like, it doesn't matter. It will sell. So lean in, sell it. They want it. But also we can provide the vegetables too.
And then if it's okay, I have one other question related to back to the events and like birthday parties and things. In our town, there's also basically like 4 or 5 places that people go to have their birthday parties, and they're always cycled through. And we don't really want to offer birthday parties because it's just a huge commitment, and we both have young kids at home. And so we're kind of thinking, how do we draw that line where if people are coming in and asking if they can host their birthday party there? Or I guess I should also clarify that in the back of the store, we are building a 14 by 16 multi-purpose room, which is going to be used for like comic workshops, zine workshops. We're sort of helping to revitalize the Iowa Youth Writing Project that was recently shuttered. They're a nonprofit who will be finding a new home using that room in our store. But we really don't want to do birthday parties, like at least to start. So, I mean, if someone says, I see you're offering this event to bedazzle books, I'd love to, have my kid's birthday party be that. Can I buy all the tickets? Like, do you ever do anything like that or any special considerations?
We don't.
Okay.
We've had, so we have a toddler book club, and it's just a toddler story time essentially. And it's led by a lovely local nanny who has done early education studies as well. And she got approached by a mom who was like, I love the setup that you do for this. My 3-year-old's birthday is coming up. Could we do this essentially at the store with you? And Claire came to me and was like, I'm game, I'll do my own separate, like she worked out payment with the mom for what her fee would be. And then we made like our fee be a gift card to our store. and gave them the hour. We provided chairs. The mom brought, non-messy snacks was our requirement. Claire did the story time, and then they had like a craft that she did. And again, like we're very lucky to have that resource of our story time person, but kind of like we keep reiterating, if that person ever comes into your life, like maybe that's when you decide to sort of bridge that gap and start doing those things. But again, we have like fully decided like we're never going to really fully commit to doing these parties and these things. But like if the opportunities come up, then we can go as we please with it. So.
I think I'm not trying to be like negative about when I say you might not be able to do this or you might not be able to do that. But I'm just saying like know your capacity and know your boundaries and be okay with saying no sometimes. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to burn yourself out because that's real.
A really big part of my job, I would say, is saying no to people, whether that be like an event or even carrying a book or doing a thing like a birthday party. It's a lot of like, I'm so sorry, but we don't have the capacity for this. People generally understand.
And then I'm going to offer a slightly more optimistic. Okay, you're going to open in October. Do not do birthday parties this year. Like, don't do birthday parties next year. But if you have a multi-purpose room, it is free money. And I'm not even that money person. And we have other people in our store that are like that. But it is the way that we do it at our store is they get the space for 2 hours and we provide a 30-minute story time. And other than that, it's all them. So it's not like we're there doing puppet shows or crafts, or they can do whatever they want. They can bring any food they want. So all we're responsible for is set up, clean up, and the 30-minute story time, which our staff, in theory, loves to do. And not now. Don't do it now. And like stick to your boundaries, like they said. But like consider it in the future because it's just a Saturday, Sunday, $200 or $300, whatever you want to decide that you wouldn't have had otherwise, and then parents stay and buy books. So consider it, but just table it for now.
Mary Olson from Prairie Fox Books in Ottawa, Illinois. My question is, I absolutely love picture books. I mean, if I could have an entire store with just picture books, I would be happy. But I wonder if you have any suggestions to encourage people to not give up on them as soon as their kids are at level 1 reading books. Because the language is so much better. The introduction to art is so much better. And those are the things that I say, but I feel like there's so many people out there who stop reading to their kids picture books once their kids are, at level 1, and it's a detriment to their reading.
Follow a librarian online. His name is a teacher. I'm sorry, he's a teacher. Colby, Colby Sharp. Sharp. He teaches 5th grade, I think, and he does a lot with picture books with his kids. And I think just following him would give you some enthusiasm for doing that kind of thing you're talking about.
Also, I just like to remind people that reading level on picture books is much higher than chapter books sometimes. So I remind them vocabulary and all those things are great. Or if you're recommending for a child that might be in 3rd grade, picking a few chapter books and a few picture books and just putting it in front of them. I think teachers still read a lot of picture books with that age, and so they do like it. And it's just continuing to offer options.
Yeah. I just think back about, like, we have the shelf talkers in our store where, like, the one that we had from Lila, age 4, I would say making some shelf talkers that say, like, so-and-so age whatever, even if you make it up. I mean, they don't know. But like, seriously, but like, just to say, But I mean, like, Lila didn't write that shelf talker; her mom did. But I think that was her opinion. But just, yeah. And I I still talk about the books that my son, who's 13 now, I will use him as my hand selling when I'm talking to people trying to sell them books when they're 5, 6, 7 or whatever. And so I think just using the experience that you have with people that have loved the older ones, and again, you don't have to have a real child to do that. I mean, like, you love it and you know it and you believe in that. You can just say, like, I know how much some kids in my life have loved these books at that age. You don't have to name a specific child. But
Karen from Bookish in Fort Smith. I want to ask, we seem to have people coming in, oh, I just found out my sister is pregnant. I want to buy a book, yada, yada, yada. Is there a way to market toward new babies, baby showers, friends, building a child's library? Give us some marketing ideas for how we can capture that group.
We do like a collection on our website specifically, like right on the homepage, that's just for new baby. And you just new baby, like for new baby. Yeah. And people can just go through that, and it's all of our suggestions that we would pull anyways in the store. So great from an online platform. You can also do specific displays based on it. All around new baby things, pull together a collection ready or have a collection in mind so that when that person comes in, these are the things that you would be pulling.
We used to have a new baby bundle. It had like a branded onesie and a collection of our favorite board books. I will say it didn't do exceptionally well for us, so it's not something we have anymore. It's nice to have the opportunity to ask questions about the parents and try to imagine what kind of reader they'll be to their child. But I do think for ease, the bundles are not the worst.
Right. We offer gift wrapping in our store. It's great. Even if you don't offer gift wrapping, just making sure you tuck a little bookmark in that book that you know is going to a new mom. And they know you could even do like a $5 gift card if you were feeling wild, because it's just sort of, if it's a brand new mom and it's their first kid, they don't know where to go for anything. And so if, our bookmark says we have story time. So it's just sort of like getting it in front of their face. But I agree with you on the bundles. It seems like people have real strong ideas about what they want to get babies, which I understand. So sometimes pre-selecting.
Yeah. We had for a couple of years when we were trying to, because it doesn't matter. We had a couple of subscription boxes that we did, and they were very limited for a while. So we did a romance and we did a queer sci-fi, but we also did a baby bundle. And that was when that same Lila was a baby, and it was like her first couple of years. And so her mom did, they were like $50, and it was for a couple of years. She would do a couple of rounds of boxes that she would send out, and we sold a good number of them, but we saved what went in those bundles, or those subscription boxes. So we have that list, and we know these are good books for new moms.
We also have a lot of people who come in and big trend now, and my husband for a while is like, oh, instead of a card, they want us to bring a book to a baby shower, right? So like preemptively thinking of that, and if you're using social media or you have a website platform or even in your store, just a printout or something, or an area that you can dedicate to, like, not bringing a card, need a book, like here you go, and have those collections pulled together.
Yeah. If I could give any piece of advice to buyers, I cannot buy enough board books.
Yeah.
Cannot buy enough board books. I just buy everything. Like, there's almost nothing that I don't buy, and I'm buying dozens of them all the time. So,
another thing we did, and I'll stop, but a couple of years ago when we had a new mom on our staff, and we have 2 story times a week, and it was always just story time. And then she said, but little babies like different things at story time. And we said, like what? And so we now have story time and circle time. And so circle time, we do a few more songs and like jingle bell shakers. and it's been really successful. We didn't really know, but we put it out there, and it's true. Younger babies come to that story time, and it's a little more chaotic, but it's super fun.
Yeah, we do something like that too, called Tiny Story Time. It's like specifically for babies and toddlers, and we have like scarves and songs, and I would say we do more songs than books, but that's all stuff I learned at the library, and I will keep saying, learn what's going on at your library. I think they're great models for us.
Yeah, and working, like I said, with our storytime person, Claire, like local childcare people who are interested in getting involved at your store. Always coming back to community, working with your community. If you're lucky to have that staff member who really likes to do it, Josie was ours. I'm not looking forward to doing the songs and everything, but I'm going to lean into it. But we're really lucky to have Claire, who is super, super interested. And we do compensate her for that. For a little while, we were been compensating her with a gift card to our store that she was really interested in. But now it's grown so much that we do give her, match her fee. And it really works for us. It's very valuable. So.
I would say also just in terms of story time, when we started, ours is a local performer who does a lot of children's programming. And at first when we started, we said it's a $3 donation. And if we didn't have enough, if she didn't get enough in donations, we would pay her the difference so that she got her fee. And now it has exploded. And then all those people then buy stuff. So it is well worth it for the amount that we were paying her, the difference for the couple of months that it took to build up her story time.
I just had a really quick question about the board books. Do you have any specific ways that you would display those, or like how you merchandise those, I guess, since you were saying can't sell enough?
We just have a bunch of, I just order like 5 at a time and I face almost everything out. So
yeah, face out. A lot of times like a stack of 6 and then one on top if you can, or right on front. We also have like shorter, smaller rolly shelves, and I'll line them up on top of that as well, just flat. And, kids are usually about that size and they'll just kind of come up and grab them. I'm always like, oh, you're redecorating for me. Like, oh, you're reorganizing. Like, wow. But, they're getting their hands on it. And then the parents are typically noticing that. So
we do separate, we do board books alpha by author, but then we also have like a concept section.
Yeah.
And so you can make sections in your board books if you choose.
Yeah, we also have like a touch and feel area, and we have a series, so that's not my books are separate from the ones that are actual stories.
Hi, I'm Catherine from Old Town Books in Alexandria, Virginia. I had 2 questions. One is, if you have middle grade and children's events, do you require parents to stay on site? We had an issue with that, and so we now do. And it seems to be fine, but I'm curious if that's kind of the norm. And then my other question, which I hope is allowed, is with bulk orders, what types of payments do you accept? Is that allowed?
Yeah.
Okay, I hope so. Do you accept only checks, or do you accept credit cards for bulk orders with which you're giving the discount?
We accept credit cards, checks, ACH, Square. So you can do Square invoices. You can do ACH. Most of ours come through Square and ACH at this point. We very, very, very rarely get physical checks and almost never get credit cards because it's all through email.
Ours are primarily credit card and check. It's really whatever works with your POS system.
Yeah, credit card and check. And especially working with schools in particular, they do typically say what works best for you. And I know we get less fees on doing a check or direct. So say that, vocalize that.
We are also, we say we take your money, however you want to give it to us. But we're playing with the idea of adding a credit card fee, just because I see it more when I'm paying bills than I did before. And some people don't flinch. Sometimes in a school system, they don't flinch. But again, you usually have relationships with these people. So if you are offering a fee and they both, and they're like, that's not going to work, rules are made to be broken. But if we can get those fees covered, we're moving towards it.
And then speaking to having parents on site, for our middle grade book club that we have, if you imagine our store's kind of set up like a row house, so the book club kind of meets in the way or back, and then we will say parents, you are allowed to stay in the shop if you want, stay up front, or we just get their phone number and ask them to not leave the surrounding area. So where we're situated, there's a bunch of shops and coffee shops and other things that they can go hang out to, or go hang out in your car. That's kind of been our situation. And then with the younger ones, typically they're on site with them, but
we generally ask them to stay.
We don't have an outright policy, to be honest. I think there are too many free roaming children in New York.
I've never thought about it, so I guess we don't have a policy either.
Our table's been so divided.
I know. It is. It's interesting because, I know Decatur.
Yeah, and if they stay, hopefully they're shopping.
Yeah,
is the positive part of that.
Sorry, second question. I have. Sorry, my name is Wendy. I own Kids Inc. Books in Indianapolis. And I took over a 40-year-old bookstore who was owned by a book lover, which is awesome. But book lover hoarder might be a better term. So my store was packed to the gills with books. So I've removed about 2/3 of the books that were in the store at the time when I bought it. And I'm working now to face it out and, all of that stuff. I've done all of that work over the last year. But now I have a question about categorization because I have my picture books alphabetical, but I've started to kind of change that a little bit. So a category about big feelings or a category about, you want a birthday present, the kid loves dinosaurs, here's dinosaurs, that kind of thing. So is anybody else doing that, or what's the benchmark?
Yeah. We have what we call, we have just picture books that are going to be just storybooks. And then we have certain categories that, so our dinosaur books, we have every section in our children's section starts with CH, and then for, or CHI, and then for dinosaurs and stuff, it's CHIN, and then anything that's a nonfiction kind of thing is going to be CHIN, and so it might be in its own bin, but it's going to be next to the books about space, and both of those are going to be CHIN, and my booksellers just need to know where to find that. But then we also have a section that is CHIS, which is special issues. And we have a bin for new sibling. We have a bin for death and dying. We have a bin for feelings, things like that. So, and they are all listed as CHIS for special issues, but the bookseller just has to know where to find it, which can be interesting. But we just don't have the time or energy to make 1 million categories in our POS.
We don't categorize picture books either, but we do have just certain theme display cubbies that we sort of lean on for that.
Yeah, same here.
Okay, guys, this is our 5-minute warning. So if you have any burning questions that remain, don't be shy.
I'll tap dance.
I can talk also, I'm realizing maybe about how we do credit card processing for bulk orders. I send people a link to a 1-cent credit card authorization fee that is an item on our website. They purchase that via there's an instruction paragraph we send that imports their information essentially into our system. And then I can attach the invoice I had previously created to the authorization fee so that I can then run the card that was for the original book that they asked for, if that makes sense.
What POS are you using for that?
This is in Book Manager.
Yeah, and the Square does take a processing fee, but so does like everything. And we do, when we send the information, we say we can also take ACH, and we say that it's preferred. And we have a form that says this is our ACH account, and we would love for you to do that. And yeah, I would say we get most things that way. Every once in a while we'll get a check, and Chicago Public Schools does everything through their own ACH system. It takes forever.
I was going to say kind of with everything too, like sometimes you need the payment right now. And so a credit card is easier, and that's okay. And you're like, I'm willing to take that percentage hit instead of waiting. Because sometimes with school systems and big machines, it can take months. Not ideal, but sometimes it can. So you can make that call.
This would also be dependent on what system you're using. But for us, since we have some like regular book clubs that might be ordering from us like seasonally or even monthly, we can keep their card on file in their account that way. So when they send their book selection, they can just tell us to charge it to the card on file. And that's super helpful for just getting it done all at once.
We'll also sometimes say like, we will release the books to you once we get payment. So again, like depending on your system and what you can do, but that does sometimes kick it into gear and get people to get payment to you quicker.
We also started doing a late fee. It feels wild, but it's also been great.
How does that work?
When we send them the invoice, if 60 days later it hasn't been paid, and depending on who they are, and if we think it's in process, we don't enforce it, but we've started putting it on our invoices that there will be. I can't remember what the percentage is. It's very small, but then they'll get a friendly reminder with a new invoice with a new balance after 60 days. Anything else? Okay. Well, I think we did it. I hope everyone feels encouraged and loved and a little bit more knowledgeable when they came here. I should have put this up during our talk because then you could have all of our information. We are real people and would love to talk to you after this, and also via email in the future if you have a specific question about something that we said or just want to pick our brains on something. We're all on the same team, so we'd love to talk. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for listening to Booked, the bookstore education podcast brought to you by the American Booksellers Association. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app. Additional educational resources can always be found on the ABA site at www.bookweb.org. Happy reading!